Oh, hey, what's up, you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and today I'm going to be showcasing you guys my updated Mathmech list that I have been playing for the current format. Now, I know we should probably be getting a ban list within like the next few days or so at the time I'm recording this, but we all know how that ends up being. We either get the ban list or we don't, and as the last few weeks have shown, we're not going to get it. So I'm just going to showcase you guys my updated list. I have taken this to my last two locals that I have actually won both of for the last couple weeks, and I know I haven't really been uploading so much, but that's just because I got sick and I've been focusing more on my health as opposed to playing the game. But we do have a regional coming up here in LA, which I will be at, so if you guys want to go ahead and say hi, please do. I highly encourage it. But I'm going to go ahead and showcase you guys my first place deck list, and this is the same exact list that I played for both events. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So starting off with the main deck, of course, we're on our 3 copies of Circular. This card's nuts. I do love this card a lot. I mean, I have like a love-hate for it, of course. I love playing it. I hate playing against it, but this card's busted. 2 copies of Sigma. I don't really feel like I need 3 or 1 at that point. I mean, you have to play 2 mainly because of Kashtira, but I feel like if Kashtira does go away, you could probably get away with playing 1 of this, but I like the 2. 2 has been fine. Double diameter, still, cards busted. And then 1 subtraction, 1 Nabla. I still really like the subtraction. I do feel like subtracting your opponent's life, or not the life, subtracting the opponent's attack is just better than them gaining attack. It came up when I played against a Dino player, and I brought them down to 2500 attack for the UCT, and I had literally no other play to get rid of it other than Tribute Summon for Driver and just crash with it, and I won the game because of that. So subtraction is definitely like the best one that's not like any of these ones, and I guess this one too. This card actually kind of sucks, but yeah, that's it for the Mathmech lineup. For like extenders or starters, 3 Defensor and 1 Guardian. I am beginning to not like this engine. I do feel like it's really strong, and I do like the combos that you can do with it, but with all the hand traps in the format, and Gamma, and Ogre, and definitely Droll and Lockbird, this card, like this whole package just kind of becomes worse, and as good as it is, I just don't know if I want to keep playing it going forward. But I mean, the engine is pretty busted. It does generate really good combos, but I'm not gonna lie, when I get to the extra deck later, I'll explain why I do want to cut it. But other than that, like, we're still playing it. It's still been good, but I mean, it's not great. You can definitely get away with not playing this if you want to. Of course, we are on 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. You have to play this card. This card's busted with any cyber strategy alone, but it's just so good, and it's even better when you're going for game. So 3 Exceed, have to play it. So definitely like where the deck differentiates for most players is the hand trap lineup. Still 3 Gamma and a Driver. 3 Droll, of course. This card is busted. This card is like my least favorite hand trap to resolve, because most of the time when you do resolve this card, the game's actually just over. I feel like this card should be either banned or at 1, but it is what it is. 3 copies of Ash still. I mean, it's been for locals. I don't really see the need to not play this card. I mean, you have Branded pretty high in the format, just got a bunch of new support, so I still feel like you have to play it because this is still good against Branded Fusion. I don't care what people really say. I mean, this card just comes up so much against basically everything. 2 Ogre, 2 Veiler, and then 1 Mourner. I basically wanted to add the Mourner mainly because I wanted to be drawing extra hand traps, and granted, yes, these are all once per turn, except for the Veiler, of course, but definitely want to be able to like resolve basically this one, I guess. I just wanted to keep drawing into like different hand traps, mainly because of Heat Soul, and the more hand traps you have in your opening hand, the better, as long as you draw like access to Circular. But that's it for the hand traps. And then like the only one non-hand trap that I play is the Santa Claus. You could play a Kaiju, you could play like a Dogran, I've seen people do. You could play like Gamma Seal, you could play Jizakuru. There's so many different options that you can play, but I really like the Santa Claus. It's been really good. It just becomes less of a problem to deal with if you're going for game as well, because the attack does like kind of matter, and like defense being 25 is much better than attacking over a 3300 Jizakuru. So that's just me, but that's going to go ahead and do it for the like say going second or just interruption cards, I suppose. For the spells, of course, we're still on 3 copies of Silent Mining, still 3 copies of Small World. Part of me wants to cut this down to 2, mainly because I feel like this is just like the worst spell to open up in the deck, mainly just because like the bridges are all over the place. You have so many different ratios the way like you can do it, but you just want to max out on your consistency. I can argue for playing 2. I do side out 1 to 2 copies, depending on if I'm going second to fit in more side deck cards, but it really just depends. But 6 searchers, I mean, you can't really complain too much there. And then I play 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Talents, and 1 Equation, 1 Factorial for the rest of the deck. It is 42 cards, which I do want to cut down on. I want to try getting the deck as close to 40 as possible, but I mean, these cards are just flex spots. They weren't really like too mandatory, I believe, but I mean, Talents is just broken because everyone's playing hand traps, and if you get drolled, it does suck. So I mean, might as well punish them if they do try to do that to you. And then 1 and 1 of these just because it's just perfect. You don't need any more, don't need any less. I mean, yeah, who am I kidding? You don't need more or less of these cards, but that's it for the main deck. It's going to be a nice clean 42. I mean, as clean as you can get for 42 cards in a main deck, because it should be 40, but right now we're just rocking 42. I don't know. When I was playing the deck at 40, I kept bricking. So as soon as I put in the 2 other cards, I think the other 2 cards that I added were the Mourner and the Santa Claus. So like these 2 cards were just add-ins. And honestly, the deck has been working so much more consistently ever since I added it, weirdly enough. But yeah, 42 for the main deck. For the extra deck, I'm just going to go ahead and showcase this real quick. 2 copies of Alimbertion, 1 copy of Ablation. I mean, don't really need to explain these. These cards are actually just busted for the deck. And of course, we have the beautiful Europrint copies as well. Big thank you. But we also played 1 copy of Almirage, 1 Link Spider, 1 Linkuriboh. You mainly need the Link Spider for in case you get hit by Nib. I'm going to be honest, it hasn't happened to me, but I do feel more safer playing the Link Spider with the G-Golem to go with it, just in case you do get hit by a Nibiru, because you can still go for a game that way. But it hasn't come up for me, but I don't want to get into that instance to where I'm going to need it and it's going to be too late. So I do like these 2 cards, and I'll definitely tell you how I feel about the rest of it when we get to it. 1 Splash Mage, 1 Update Jammer. This card's busted. I mean, both of these cards are like the dynamic duo for cyber strategies. I mean, these cards just put in so much work, as well as the Transcode and the Heat Soul. I mean, this is probably like the best card in the extra deck, other than like the Laplation or the Albertion. But I mean, there's so many good cards in this deck. Let me just be honest. Like the extra deck is so tight, but that's mainly because you have so much power cards for the extra deck. Like everything in here is just power. Like Almirage 1 card hand trap with Exceed is full combo. Linkuriboh is just an extra trap negate. Link Spider being able to help you go into your Transco plates after getting hit by Nib is really good. And then like these cards are all just ways of summoning other cards, except for the Update Jammer, basically making it to where you go for game. But I'm done blabbling. 2 access codes still. I don't really think you need to, but I mean, if we were in a Kashtira-less format, I would advise not playing 2. I mean, you could probably get away with playing 1, but I have 2, so I just opted to play 2. And honestly, the second one hasn't come up for me just yet, but I still like having it. Even when you are playing against Kashtira, they're not really going to hit the access code if they see 2 copies in it. But even when I had this at 1, I was still not getting hit by Kashtira for it. If anything, I was losing the Update Jammer or the Splash Mage, but it was never really access codes. So I don't know. You could probably get away with playing 1, but I still like 2, I guess. And then the most debatable cards in the extra deck are these 2. I mean, I'm going to be very honest with you when I say this, but I have not summoned this guy once since I've been playing the deck. Other than the combo tutorial that I showed you guys, this card has never come up for me. I've really just been summoning Heat Soul and passing on that, mainly because with all the hand traps in the format and like all the other like kind of outs like Lava Golem, Santa Claus, this card kind of sucks. And I mean, it's a really great card, don't get me wrong. Being able to get this to up to 10,000 attack potentially is really busted, but I've never made it. I've never seen the need to make it. I mean, I feel like just ending on Heat Soul, drawing into more hand traps is just better than having the 1 extra like spell trap negate. I mean, yeah, you get this thing up to a bunch of attack, but that's what access code Update Jammer is for, so you don't really need these 2 cards. Honestly, I think going forward, I want to cut these for like maybe another Splash Page, maybe another Update Jammer, just other cards better than this. I mean, these 2, again, never used them, so these are probably going to come out for something else. Again, I've just been testing for the regional coming up, but never used these cards. I've basically been playing with a 13 card extra deck, 11 card extra deck if you count the Yugioh and the Link Spider, because nothing else really comes up. So yeah, these two cards, don't really need them. Lastly, I'm just going to show you guys the side deck. The side deck's still a work in progress, basically a rough draft. But yeah, so the side deck, 3 Ghost Bell. Really like this card a lot. I mean, it's really good against pistols for when they're trying to hit like the circular or the Mathmech Sigma. So you basically just want to make sure that you're outing pistols any chance you get to. And then it's also really good for like the opponent's factorial if they have it. So card's busted, really good against branded as well. 2 Nib. I kind of want to find room to fit this for the main deck for the regional, mainly because I feel like people aren't going to respect this card, and it's just busted. I mean, if people don't play around it, then they're dumb. So it makes you feel a lot better for when you do resolve this card. So I don't know. I like the idea of throwing it into the main deck, but I don't know. I'm not too confident with it just yet. Maybe with some further testing, I might change up the list a little bit when I go to locals on Tuesday before the regional, but we'll see how it goes. 3 Thrust. I mean, card's busted. I mean, I still really like this card a lot. It gets you to the Dark Roller, it gets you to the Feather Duster, and then it gets you to the Appointer. But I'm not gonna lie, I think I've only really been getting a Pointer. Oh, also I played the Dimensional Barrier to go with it. But I think every time that I've resolved Thrust, I have been getting either Signet Mining or a Pointer. I think I've gotten D-Barrier, I think maybe once, but everything else doesn't really come up. I feel like these are just like the 2 mainstays for the side deck. I mean, Dark Ruler is busted if you're going up against like Pirelli, or if you're going against a super heavy board, but you really just need a break board sometimes. But honestly, I've just been setting Thrust in for those matchups. I mean, everything else is just kind of whatever. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the side deck. Again, it is just a work in progress, but still going strong with it. I play 1 Cyclone just to respect like the runic matchup. Basically just being able to hit the Fountain is really good, and then also this against the Samurai Scales is pretty good as well. And then lastly, it's just 2 anti-spell, mainly to play against Pirelli, mainly to play against Super Heavy, but it has come up against like other rogue strategies like Sword Soul and like, what's the other one? I can't think of it. It was really good against Vanadium when I saw it against that too. Dark World, which does see a lot of play still in my local scene. But honestly, yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for the deck profile. I think I'm basically said more than enough at this point. The deck is really solid. I do like this deck a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still miss playing Sprite every day of my life, mainly with Sprite Elf. But yeah, the deck is really solid. It's been doing really well for me. I can't complain. I mean, the whole point is basically just to kill your opponent 1 turn with the Update Jammer loop. So I just want to keep like banking on that, but at the same time, like these cards probably coming out of the deck. Everything else seems pretty solid though. Again, I might just want to like tweak the extra deck, maybe throw some extra copies of other stuff that's already in here because they do come up a lot. And other than that, deck is really good. I want to try getting it down to 40 as well. That would be like a big thing for me, is to get this deck down to 40, but I feel like I'd have to cut out on like some consistency, and I just don't know if I feel like doing that just yet. But we still have like another week or so before the next regional, and hopefully we get a good solid list before that happens. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you all in my next video. Take care, everyone.